There's a pent-up demand for longer tea, I guess, but
नहीं आपका हाथ लग रहा है बार बार.
the next up we have requested for a short session of Mridul. You heard him, Mridul Kataria from Sports and Society Accelerator, specifically on the policy making and governance, role of policy making governance in sport, because as we heard, there's a larger context of how does policy making influence scaling of sports, or will have Vidul speak about that. Vidul?
It is working. Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you've had a good break so far. And as Parminder pointed out, I've here to talk a bit about the sports policy, sports and physical activity policy landscape, and how at SSA, at Sports and Society Accelerator, we're trying to frame some of those conversations and sort of take you through that journey of what's there and what we're trying to do to really move the needle around policy within sports and physical activity. Right here. So once I can have the slide up, I can walk you through it. Yeah. So one of the key things that we do, and when we try to frame the conversation around sport and physical activity, is really about explaining the problem in more ways than one. Where the problem is not just about sport, where the problem is not just about physical activity or elite athletics, it's more about what is the status today that what we're dealing with, and what is the landscape in which sport can help and can be a key contributor to. Where moving every day, where being physically active can lead to many different outcomes. So the first way we try to frame that is really talk about what is the landscape around our sedentary lives, what is the way in which India is living today. And the numbers you see here are very, very stark. And these come right from the Indian Council of Medical Research, which estimates that around 200 million people affected by diabetes and pre-diabetes, 300 by hypertension, and 600 million affected by some kind of obesity. Now, we're not saying sport is the only solution to that, or being physically active is the only solution to that. It is a key contributor to that. It is a key solution that we do work with, and we have a low-cost, effective solution. And when we move forward with that, we compare it to what are the statistics today around physical inactivity in India. And the connections are very, very easy to make. When you talk about 74% of our adolescent population is largely inactive, is not meeting the WHO standards of physical activity, it's very easy to draw that link of why, one, our sedentary lifestyles are leading to so many non-communicable diseases, but also what is the easy solution is to try to get more active. And when we talk about adults, it's the same thing. Around 50% of our adults are also not meeting the WHO set criteria of being active. And when we account for all of that, we can see a picture coming up where you talk about how sedentary lifestyles lead to certain problems, and how sport and being physically active can really contribute to addressing the problem. It can be a key solution to the problem. And that's where we talk about framing the conversation with the state, framing the conversation with policymakers, and make it really about not just sport, but about physical activity, of which sport is a big, big part. If you play a sport, great. If you are physically active on a daily basis, also great. And that's where, when we talk about this, the solution is not that difficult. You give roughly 2% of your time to physical activity per week on average, and you can be a part of the SAPA revolution, as we'd like to call it. And one of the terms we're really working with and trying to popularize is sport and physical activity. SAPA as a whole is an umbrella term, where it's sport plus other forms of recreation. It could also include other things which are not considered traditional, conventional ways of being physically active, like, even dance. But that is definitely a part as an umbrella term of that. And that's what we get when we try to frame these conversations with government, and we try to highlight where the problem is much larger than we think about it, and the solution is right there in front of our eyes. Now, what is that we do at the Sports and Society Accelerator and within this policy landscape? SSA is a non-profit Section 8 organization, which really works with 3 different verticals. One of them is largely engaging with government on policy through strategic intervention, but also trying to create pilots, which really are proof of concepts around sport as a way of being, as a way of course, countering a lot of these non-communicable diseases, being healthy, and really contributing to also other social outcomes. That's one of our verticals. The other bit is really informing a lot of this work with government and in general. One of the ways in which we see how and the conversation why around sport shouldn't be limited to just sport is also about creating evidence and research around it. One of the key ways in which we do that is really work on awareness. We work on highlighting organizations such as Sports Village who are doing some great work in getting more kids to play, getting more people to be active. And our work really revolves around gathering all that evidence and presenting it to government, presenting it to policymakers, presenting it to the larger population in general, to really create that culture of acceptance around being physically active, around being inculcating sport into your daily life. And the third one really is around working with the ecosystem, creating that collaboration, creating that collective voice around popularizing sport as a medium of living, and also talking about its socio-economic benefits, which I'm sure all of us are really aware of in terms of what all sport can do for you. But really it's not about the people who are convinced, it's the people who are not convinced that we need to get on board and really inculcate into that fold of creating a demand for better and more policies around sport and physical activity. And really it's underlined by the idea of convening all of this together, convening non-government organizations, policymakers, and everyone else, academia and the general population, and creating some public goods which can be easily accessible, but to also inform a lot of the way in which we can not just work with government, but also become champions in our communities of promoting sport. So it's really a movement which is from the ground up at all levels, where you can involve private organizations, the public sector, the general population, and government as well. Now, when we look at the landscape we're working in terms of what is the policy landscape, some of it was touched upon in the last panel. It's really about, when you look at how sport and physical activity can be popularized, it's being taken into account in many different countries. For example, if you see, England has now set up a sport body, Sport England, to really support grassroots-based participation, grassroots-based programs. And there, as a government government mandate is really moving away from the success they've had in elite sport and really focusing on participation. And that doesn't discount any elite athletic success. It really adds to that. It really adds to how creating a culture around sport can really add to not just elite success, but also really harnessing the benefits of sport in daily life. Same with Australia, same with Canada. All countries who are considered elite through their sports policies and through their performance historically in international sporting competitions, really recognizing that sport and its benefits can really be taken beyond the playing field and can affect other outcomes like education, like health, and so on and so forth. And when you look at that, that's the international landscape we're dealing with, which is also to some extent, being replicated at an Indian level. And that also happens also at the state level as well as the central government level. How does that happen? You see states like Haryana, who've, in their more recent sports policies, have really emphasized the idea of sport for development, sport for social impact. Because they understand that when you can use sport outside the playing field, when you can use sport for the enormous potential it has, you can really create not just a culture around it, but also about a healthy population, which has obvious benefits around health, education, and so on and so forth, and also productivity in many, many places. It's the same thing with other states like Odisha, which has this focus on elite athletics, but is really moving the needle also on how we can have these benefits trickle down to all sections of the population, and really trying to include as many people in the fold as possible. Same with Andhra Pradesh, where they do incentivize mass participation through their Krida Vikas Kendras, which really emphasize that it's not just about performing well, it's just about participating and trying to inculcate sport in our daily life. And that's the kind of policy landscape we're dealing with. To some extent, 20 different states have some level of mass participation, elements of mass participation in their policies. But to what extent, again, that's a separate conversation that we can have, and there are more resources we could also share on that. At a central government level, we do see an increasing recognition towards that. How is that so? I don't know how many of you saw our Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports' little snippet just 3-4 days ago on National Sports Day, where he emphasized that where National Sports Day is an opportunity to recognize how we should be active in our daily lives. How it's not just about playing sport for performance, but really about using its enormous benefits in terms of being not just healthy, but also a lot of the evidence shows that sport can really help you learn other skills. Sport can really help you be productive at the workplace. Sport can really help your grades in school. And really emphasizing that when you're playing sport on a daily basis, when you're being physically active, that's a conversation that can really amplify the benefits that you can get out of sport. So there's that movement that's coming out now and also becoming a part of a potential bid of the Olympics when we talk about 2036. Because what's happened in the last 20 or so years is the IOC has also mandated hosting cities to really propose a strong legacy plan. What post the Olympics? Because we've seen in the past, and even more so also in the present, many examples of there is not enough happening post the Olympics, because we would like our stadiums and our public infrastructure and all sporting infrastructure to be heavily used, but for some reason or the other, it is not. And therefore, the 2036 Olympics bid really is an opportunity which is being talked about as a way of creating that legacy of participation, as a way of creating that legacy of harnessing the benefits of sport and physical activity and really figuring into the policy landscape that we have today. Now, when we talk about this landscape, there are many different conversations that can be had, but one of the ways in which you deal with this or you work through this is making the conversation more than just about sport or more than just about physical activity, which is where some of the work we're trying to do in terms of active frameworks, active schools, active cities, active educational, active transit, active workplaces really comes into place, where all these 4 different settings are really key areas of focus when you would like to talk about promoting sport and physical activity. And the government policymakers have a key role to play in all of this. How is that so? If you have more of a government mindshare towards making our cities more equipped towards physical activity and sport, you will have more and more stakeholders coming towards that. Private stakeholders, public stakeholders, really talking about that mindshare and really understanding that there is some benefit involved when you have a focus of the government towards these things. Now, what is an active city? What is an active workplace, active school, or active college, or even active transit? These are, of course, separate questions altogether, which I will be more than happy to address perhaps if you have specific questions around it. But really, active city is really about a city which is equipped to be able to give you the opportunity to participate in sport in more ways than one. When we talk about sporting infrastructure integrated into city infrastructure, or when we talk about transit that is enabling you to bike to work or walk to school, all of those things are creating the right conditions where you can be active in your daily life. What is an active workplace? Is one which encourages you to integrate sport into your daily life in more ways than one, whether it be a gym membership, whether it be active breaks at work, even standing desks, walking meetings. All of those are very small scale interventions that can really have a large impact, as we've seen through much of the evidence on your productivity, and really reducing the rates of absenteeism, for example. And those are examples that we work with when creating all of these frameworks. And even the same with active educational institutions, because the impact of sport on a child's life ought not to just be limited to the PE session. We believe it's a lot more to do with what happens outside of the PE session, where they can really take forward the idea of activity in their daily life and really harness the benefits in terms of educational outcomes, the benefits of just learning more skills, which we've seen, of teamwork and so on and so forth. So the conversation in policy then becomes about how do we deliver these frameworks? Because if we work with government, if we include policy makers as a key stakeholder, as we've done, they have the capacity to be able to engage communities, to be able to engage in terms of awareness and create awareness around it, but also build capacity of other stakeholders as well, and build capacity in a way where you can have more and more people being invested within this policy landscape. So to really sum up the last few minutes of the presentation, we're dealing with a policy landscape that is slowly but surely moving towards increasing participation. It's then about framing the conversation around what the problem is and that it's much bigger, and the solution is of integrating sports into our daily life is very, very simple. Of course, at an individual level, but how do you foster that? How do you foster the conditions for that is where a key role of the government comes in. So that's a small bit about the policy landscape and some of the conversations we're having around sport and physical activity within this landscape. And if you'd like to find out more, you can feel free to scan the QR code and learn a bit more about the active series and the active frameworks that we've been working on. Also have featured some of the organizations, much like Sports Village, in creating the frameworks around active schools, for example. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But also, if you're feel free to scan the QR code. I don't know if you have time for questions within this session, but you can feel free to catch me around here. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mridul, for bringing up the broader context of policy and governance around getting everyone to play. And I think within that, the schools play a central role. We all know that, and that's where, whether it is the school leaders, administrators, policymakers, parents, children, all of us converge together, and that's the center of action, center of community that we have been speaking of. So our next panel is going to, I think, focus more on that, and we will need to set up the chairs. And so while that is being set up, I'm requesting Somil to moderate the session and have him also invite the speakers, maybe introduce the speakers while the panel is being set up.
Okay, so while we get the housekeeping in order, interesting panel coming up. It's got an interesting variety, and you can see the names, or hopefully you can read some of the names, but we got a combination of two wonderful school leaders who have a ton of experience in enabling play inside schools with all the constraints of parents and fees and space and time and academic pressure and so on. We also have, that's Subra ma'am and Jashveer sir who are here. We also have a parent, Rajendra Kamath, who got his twin boys to pursue football seriously and got them scholarships in the US, and has now started a venture helping other parents get scholarships, sports scholarship for their kids in the US. So that's an interesting parent angle. We of course have a very important physical education voice. Dr. Anand is here. Because that's the voice that is very often not heard in these conversations, but that's the base, that's the foundation. And we want to just understand from him as well what his learnings are. And we have Vardhani, who's coming in from a sports psychology perspective to talk about both the good and the not so good part about participating in sports, and how, from a psychology perspective, what can help the whole process of getting kids to play. And of course, last but definitely not the least, my good friend Pradeep Pillai, who also runs Orange Slates and Academart that helps schools and institutions enable kids to play through sports infrastructure and sports equipment. And just a conversation around that whole process of managing constraints, buying behavior, what's going on, what are the motivations. Because these are nitty-gritties of actually making stuff happen on the ground. So we have school leaders, we have parents, we have people who are trying to convince schools how to do it, and we have a PE head who's actually implementing it on the ground in school. So good, we are set up. So if I may request the panelists to please join us. Jasveer sir, please. Shubhra ma'am, Dr. Anand, Pradeep, Raja. I was told I need to sit like this. Okay. Gaurav? Okay, first of all, a great range of experiences and expertise here. I'll try and do my best to make the most of this wonderful experience. First of all, thank you everybody for being here. So the context is around how do you create this larger sense of play for holistic development, and all of you bring in very different expertise. Let me start with schools first, because over the previous sessions we all talked about how schools are seen as this focal place, and while everybody thinks schools should solve all the problems, schools have their own set of problems, right? And so I want to maybe start with Shubhra ma'am to maybe help us understand how you have enabled play in the different schools that you held leadership positions in, and how you kind of handled some of the challenges that come your way in getting kids to play in schools.
Is it working? Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me here. And to begin with, I have faced a lot of challenges as a leader, especially in terms of making parents and teachers aware. And how I did it was, we've already understood why we need to do it. There was this particular school in Mumbai where a child of grade 10, he was going up to play for the district level and eventually the state level. And the parents were totally discouraging him from attempting that. It happened to be just 1 month prior to the board exams. Now, being in a CBSE school, CBSE gives a lot of credit in terms of the weightage for sports, though I would say it's not enough. The weightage given to sports in the scorecard of a child has to be increased. So this particular child was hell-bent, and because of that, he was not paying attention. He was missing his remedials. He was missing his, after the prelims, the classes. The mother and the father came to meet us. I was then the vice principal of that school, and it was tough task to ensure that the child was not studying either ways, his mind was totally concentrated on his games and sports. So it was, it took me time. I sat with a counselor, and I first tried to counsel the parents instead of the child, because the parents came to me asking, "Madam, you should counsel the child." But I felt the parents need counseling, and which I started with. And eventually, I sat with the child and see, I have convinced your parents. Now you have to promise me one thing. You do well in your exams as well. Now you go and play, we will give you the attendance for those days, and CBSE allows that, as per the rule. Let all parents and students sitting here should know, be aware of that. You get an advantage even in your board exams if it falls within a national level or state level sports performance. The child gets an alternate day to appear for the exams. So this was already there, but the parents were not aware, and they simply felt that it's a waste of time. And the child, he said, "Ma'am, I promise I'll do my best." And believe me, the child was a 60-70%er, where we brand children as, A plus, B plus category and all that in academics. He went on to play, he won, and he comes back and he tells me, "Don't worry, ma'am, I'll not let you down." Because I had told him there's a lot at stake. if you don't do well, I have taken care, I've tried to convince parents and even the school principal who was against the idea. And I was told that you're spoiling the student. Anyways, I took the risk, and believe me, that child did not let me down. So this was one small thing. Eventually, when I became a school principal, I ensured that CBSE provides one period of sports, physical education period, compulsorily on a daily basis. Now, all of you sitting here, tell me how many schools you've seen doing that actually in the timetable. It doesn't. So first thing I ensured was make a timetable which ensures PE is compulsory and nobody compromises with that. It cannot be taken away by the remedials. So what I did, wherever remedials were required, I made them stay back, gave them another, in the orientation in the beginning of the year, I told the parents, please be prepared, if your child is not doing well in academics, be prepared to pick up the child 1 hour later. Do not send your child for tuitions and stuff like that. We will take care of it. So that assurance to parents helped them come around. They realized that the school takes the responsibility of academics without hampering physical education. And physical education teaches a lot of life skills. Let me tell you, you learn team building, you learn resilience, which is a need of the hour. It is stress-free, a place where the child can vent out. You spend yourself, your energy, your untapped energy gets spent in a positive manner instead of a child becoming destructive and throws things around or tantrums. It is taken care. Let me tell you, parents, I have not gone through much of research. With my own experience, I've seen children calm down. You let them play for half an hour, 1 hour, after school or before school, whenever possible, you will see the drastic change. And in my current school in Nashik, Meena Bhujbal School of Excellence, what I've done is, and I'm thankful to my management for giving me a free hand at this, that's very important, which in a lot of chain of schools was not happening. I've worked with Podar, Narayana, Vibgyor, it wasn't happening. But here, as a standalone school, I got a free hand to do it. The students, if we feel a child has a talent in sports, okay, of course now we have tied up with Sports Village. I am getting that right scientific environment for sports, which was not possible with just one PE teacher who's an MP.Ed and probably not able to do much, because most of the academic teachers would ask for a proxy period, take away their periods, borrow, beg and do that. The PE teacher would feel left out or would feel that, unka to kuch kaam hi nahi hai. It is secondary to academics. So what I've done now is I've invited parents to come and play with their children. I've done organized games at my school where parents, along with their child, they pair up and do a lot of sports, and then they realize it's so much fun because they had missed out when they were children.
So getting parents to play is an answer?
Yes, getting teachers and parents to play, let them realize. And you know what, NEP talks about experiential learning. This is learning for parents and teachers. Let them experience and see how much fun, and then they come back when they are tired. They will not switch on a TV or a mobile, They would rather eat healthy, go to sleep. They'll be tired properly. So that's the answer.
No, this is wonderful. Let me bring in Mr. PE here. आपका नाम बहुत आया है. तो what's going on in schools? PE as a everybody agrees physical education is very important. Everybody has long things to say, but the actual daily school routine, PE classes get substituted, right? PE very often is doing everything else except PE, right? So what's going on? What is going wrong? क्या कर सकते हैं?
See, basically, first of all, I would like to thank you for bringing up this topic. And as we say that let the kids play. Every child should be on the ground and should develop his abilities. But unfortunately, most of the schools do these practices where the PE is taken as the proxy period. Let's see the other side. Let's say see how the children can come on the ground even if the proxy periods are being taken. we practice in our school, we practice integrated physical education. So we integrate PE with other subjects, wherein the children come down in the maths period also, where we have the Pythagoras theorem. The PE teacher, we teach the children how to draw a Pythagoras figure on the ground, where we have the ground marking. And then we integrate with the science teachers also. We integrate with them for teaching the Newton's laws. We make them play. We have them have the starting blocks, show them actually. So if you push the starting block a bit harder, how faster you will be out of the blocks. So this is another way of bringing the children onto the ground. And even if some of the other proxy periods are being taken, not in our school, but it's the case of the other schools. This is a way where we can integrate PE, and we can see that the children do enjoy the maths the periods also, the science period also, along with the PE periods. Of course, physical education is the lifeline of the school. Every child loves to play PE and loves to be on the ground. But in case of the schools, which I would suggest the principals over here, if you could do these kind of things, the child would really love to be on the ground.
Thank you. Let me ask Jashveer ji. Specifically, I know you have your own experience around getting kids to play, but just to build on this conversation,
Sure.
PE साहब बोल रहे हैं कि ये सब करने से हो जाएगा. As a school leader, how do you think about this?
Yeah.
How will parents respond?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. That's a wonderful question. I'm a proud principal who loves sports. I come from Haryana and I grew up playing in my childhood in the muddy fields. That's my brief introduction. I'm not a very popular principal in Pune because of the approach that I have towards. Right. Anyway. And the principal is like a cheese sandwich, whom parents and management love to eat anytime they set their eyes upon. Right. So, Shubhra ma'am would agree with me. Now, I'll try to report right from the ground zero, from the perspective of the students, what happens there in the school. I'm going to include you also. You've got a wonderful idea. So, see, the problem, as I see, and the challenge, and how we deal with that, and I've got a question for Sports Village too. So, the problem is in connecting with the parents. Parents won't understand for obvious reasons. I won't talk about it because they are preparing the kids to be successful entrepreneurs or these Baijus and these Akash and all, engineers and all. Oh yes, all that nonsense. So that they are obsessed. And I have worked at in 8 schools, but Pune is the worst in this case. And parents are very hard to convince. Anyway.
Your popularity is going down.
I haven't gone to Mumbai yet. But let me get to the point. So that's the period. So the influence of the decision makers in whatever we are talking is very, very important. We are talking about holistic development. I think that's the discussion point. I've got a problem with this phrase. Let me tell you why. Almost every school, not almost, every school begins with a vision statement and mission statement. And you would agree. If you don't, then you try to explore a little bit. So in the vision statement, by default, the word holistic comes because that's what the parents want to read. But tell me, even a lot of parents sitting over here, how many of you really made a choice to choose a school based on the vision of the school? Even though holistic development is mentioned, they say it. That doesn't actually happen. CBSE has got in its vision statement, it doesn't happen. Holistic, I include sports, drama, theater, performing arts in that. That's the holistic development. Now, if it is a holistic development, then we ought to have in the curriculum, English is compulsory, maths is compulsory, science is compulsory. I'm talking about grade 10. Social studies. Why not sports? What's wrong with that? a kid will find himself happier in the company of a PE teacher. आपने देखा होगा कि, and I used to get jealous when I was a high school teacher, that a kid would come walking, and I was at a senior post in the school, right, head of a department or something like that, and the child would choose PE teacher over me, and he would touch the feet. That's the respect the PE teacher carries, and I saluted them, and I salute you today. That's the connect. Now every situation that happens is in collaboration with emotional connect, intellectual planning, and physical competence. This is what I think. For example, if one has to rescue a cat from a tree, see how this works. One has to be emotionally connect. Oh, there's a cat, there's a life I have to share. It comes naturally. Second is the intellectual planning. How am I going to do it? Am I going to climb? Would I put a net? Shall I call my friend who would help me? I cannot reach that branch. So the planning goes in the background. And there ought to be a physical competence that your body brings. So I know that when physical competence is ingrained with intellectual planning and along with emotional connect, that is what you call a holistic development, which should happen in the background. Now let's keep it aside. Parents. It's difficult. There ought to be a structured curriculum. Now this I realized when I went to USA and I taught there for 9 years. How come US, China win all the gold medals? There ought to be something in there, not college, in something happening in the school. It's compulsory. Kids love sports as much as academics. And the wonderful thing is, parents support it. My son played basketball in grade 8. I was working in the same school. And then over the weekend, I wanted to rest, I wanted to read, write, but he forced me to go with him and watch him playing soccer 120 miles away. I said, no way. I said, do not talk to me then. Then I asked my wife, what happened to him? Look, all his friends' parents are going. So there is a social pressure on him. But really? May he better win.
Did you go finally?
I did. He forced me, yes. I did. And then I got into, yes, this is a culture. That's how it happens. He did not win, but he did not stop telling me why he did not win and what he can do the next time on the back of the journey. Then I realized there is a bonding that develops and there is a connect that goes on forever. It's not playing sport, but what sport gives you after you have played. Now, as I said, Mr. Majumdar, there's a problem in the curriculum. CBSE will not. Even the NEP that says, we already have PE, and you know what happens in PE. I mean, we have come to an extent where we had to integrate physical education in other subjects. I mean, just see how bad it can be. I mean, we are forced to do it. The curriculum should force us to do it. It happens in IB, International Baccalaureate Program, that I taught for 4 years. Then I realized, and there's an integral part, what is called a CAS, creativity, action, service. Forget about creativity and service. Action means you have to play, which means you not only play, you have to, well, there's a CAS coordinator, will keep evidence of your physical achievements over a period of 2 years. And if you do not reach that level, you do not pass CAS, and if you do not get passed, you do not get diploma. It is so. The curriculum holds the school, the teachers by the neck. You cannot move left or right. Same with Cambridge. But I'm sorry, it doesn't happen in this way. So what do? We come to the point. What do we do? Well, you build your own curriculum. Ma'am was saying, yes, absolutely. So you make one period compulsory. Okay. There are 30 students or 40 students, 4 sports, they go over there. You ask the teachers to prepare a lesson plan, prepare a curriculum. This is what you are going to achieve. It's a very structured, you have got a very structured one, absolutely. And then you have to show the improvement, the physical accomplishment, whatever has to be measured, reported. And you better have, and it should be, an exclusive PTM where there are only PE teachers, of course, non-performing arts, and make it so valuable as academics. And this has to come to with the principal. There's another dimension to it. There are two kinds of schools here we didn't talk about. One is the day school that we have in Pune, and they're boarding schools. It's much better and doable in boarding school because parents are not there. The kid doesn't go to a parent. He stays there. You can do whatever you want. Yes, and he won't talk.
The answer to get kids to play is to keep the parents away.
Absolute, no. Part of it. But you get, I'm coming to that. So it's easy in boarding school.
Yeah.
I have been a boarder, so I know. I put my kids in boarding school because I wanted to be away from them. And it's a challenge.
सर ये सब रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है, आपका बच्चा शायद देख रहा है.
Is that man doing that? Anyway.
Delete kar
But challenging, no, it's okay. It's challenging in day school because the dispersal is at 2:50. The mother is at the gate at 2:30. Now, what do you do with that mother? So what you can do is during the time when the mother is not there, so you include it in the classes and you train your teachers and all. And if your management is nice and is not eating the sandwich, you can bring in sports village. It's done. Why you have to do anything like that? Now I have got one question for Mr. Gill and Mr. Majumdar, who have been doing a lot of blah blah blah.
Sir,
It's expensive.
I give up. I don't.
It's expensive. It's beautiful. I can take it any day, but I have got management and I have to convince them. There's a time when you bring in PTA, the members, the selected one, get them on your side and include in the vertical agenda and make them talk to the management on your behalf. Yeah, you ought to be smart because unless it is structured, you cannot make it, and it ought to be in the curriculum. These are two things which I think should be done immediately, ASAP. I declare emergency.
Okay. Thank you. That was key sandwich. I think we're all waiting for lunch, but it was interesting. Let me get Pradeep in. Pradeep, you also work with schools and you knock on schools' doors trying to convince them to buy sports stuff. While we convince them to buy sports programs, you try and convince them to buy sports infrastructure and equipment. So what's going on? What are you seeing?
So I think Jashveer ji and Shubhra ma'am have given one perspective which is very valid. I think the problem is parents. So starting with the assumption at the beginning that all stakeholders are on the same page. No, it is not. If I put an extra class, I'm telling you the challenge from the school and then I'll give you some case studies. If there is an extra class for maths, the parent would be really happy. If you get the child to stay back for sports, I'm a part of parent groups. There is all these kind of messages which come कि school normal time पे क्या करता है, बच्चों को नहीं खिलाता है, ये वो फलां. I mean, it becomes like a massive thing. But if it is an extra class for maths, a brilliant school, awesome school, they don't question कि maths teacher कर क्या रहे थे and all that. So that's something which happens. So I think what he said, Ed, he was very tactful in terms of withdrawing, but I think bluntly said parents are the problem. Okay, having said that,
There are the solutions also.
so until unless that mindset changes, all other stakeholders will continue to have these kind of conversations, but the needle will not move that much. Now, I'm coming from a background where I help schools set up school infrastructures. I work with NGOs who are into school transformation, setting up, again, infrastructure. So one of the things which I can talk about from the book also, what both of you read, written, beautiful book. Access, I don't think is a massive problem. Access is there. Whatever are the infrastructure available, the utilization of that is in single digits. So 90% of the infrastructure available is still not being used. Now let me give you examples of it from a ZP school, that is a Jila Parishad schools, outskirts of Pune. They don't have too much of a ground or anything, but they have built this beautiful system because the Sarpanch out there wants children to play. So there is a bus available, children go to the nearest ground, and there are 3 to 4 sports teachers. So one of them is the actual sports teacher, there are 3 more volunteers, and they make the children play at least twice a week. Okay, possible. Now let me talk about a CBSE school in Pune, where it is like ma'am and sir were saying, 40 minutes every child will have to play. Up to grade 3, the child will play at least 4 sports. After grade 3, the child has to choose between 2 sports. Like I think one of the panelists in the morning was saying, 1 team sport and 1 individual sport, or they can choose 2 sports, any of the 2 sports. But 2 sports mandatorily the child has to play. So 5 days a week, 3 days 1 sport, 2 days 1 more sport. And there is daily 40-minute session for this. Now what they also do is they take the assembly for physical fitness also. Right after the assembly, there is a 15 minutes physical fitness for all the children. So that's a CBSE school. Inside the school curriculum, they do this. Now the challenge for the school, I think what everybody has been speaking about is with one PE teacher, okay, is this possible? Or 2 PE teachers, is this possible? Not possible. Because you have maybe 45 children in a class, you have an international school, maybe less, but most of the schools will have between 45 to 50 children in a class. So they just take them to the ground and the children are playing, wouldn't work. You need to be able to split them into smaller groups, into smaller functions. Otherwise, what's going to happen is some of the children who actually enjoy playing and who would any which way be playing would be the ones who hog that time. The others will be sitting back, and slowly, this whole thing becomes like a free period. So 2 things which from my perspective, what I think we need to work on is, 1, report cards. Sir has already mentioned, can we add sports as a part of the reporting structure for parent? Absolutely, it is there in the holistic report card. Can that be made mandatory?
20th August they made it mandatory.
Brilliant.
This year.
Awesome, ma'am. The second thing, on the board when you go into a class, when you are going for the report card, there will be the topper's name written. A lot of schools do this, rank 1, this percentage, 2, 3. Can you have the sports guys also put up there? At least 3 names. I mean, you just need the chalk and that board is already there. So if that culture can be, and it's a change. So if that name is there, as a parent, I'll feel pride, ki, okay, my child's name is there. I would like to promote. So if that is possible, I think it's something which can work out.
No, thanks. This is interesting. Rajendra, I want to come to you. You are here as a parent, and parents are not currently in good standing right now.
I know.
You're standing.
Of course. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
So please tell us as a parent your journey of supporting your twin boys through sports, football, balancing the worry about academics, आगे जाके क्या होगा, and then of course what you're doing now.
Yeah. So let me flip the whole question and give out a couple of names, right? So we all know R. Madhavan, the 3 Idiots wala gentleman, right? His son is in University of Virginia now, swimming. Born in India, full scholarship. Tejaswin Shankar, we might have heard about that gentleman in high jump. University of Kansas, full scholarship. Recently we placed one girl, Khushi Umesh from Pune, PU, 11th and 12th, Princeton University, full scholarship. There are enough and more examples which I can quote and names which are there, my own boys included now, of course. And then Siddharth Sanarin, who's in Reliance Young Champs. I mean, these boys, these kids have pursued their passion, I mean, obviously their skill level has been there. They have taken it to the next level, the amount of hard work which goes in. Now, all that is required as a parent is just do the logistic support. Everything else, they're all fantastic in studies. I mean, if somebody can reach Princeton after being a national champion in 200 meters under 18, the amount of hard work which has to go in to become that athlete, to spend every day. She has spent countless number of hours on the field, on the track field. She was unwell. She went out to a different university. She's tried everything. Parents have been supportive. Ultimately, parents' काम is the easiest. Just be there, support the kid, do the logistics, pay out the money wherever it's required, and the job is done, right? So I think for us, it was no different. The boys were interested. They wanted to pursue. The easiest job for us was the logistics. I think, the journey, it has its own ups and downs. The kids sometimes, they don't do well on the ground. They come back, they just need the space. We don't need to hit upon their head that, kal assignment baki hai, you need to finish that and that. They are smart enough. So I think the only thing we need to do is give them space, give them the support, and I think the job is half done.
I want to just, before I come to Vardhani, this balance of sports and education, this narrative that if it's sports and academics is dropping, I think there are enough case studies of people who have balanced both.
Absolutely.
So, as a parent who should decide that, I think you're maybe trivializing the significance of that achievement to be able to say, I trust my kids to do well enough in academics while they're pursuing sports. Because very often the parents' question is coming from that concern, ki khel to raha hai, but please take care of academics. So
Right.
how did you manage that?
So I think, again, we need to have guardrails. It's not as if we just leave them nilly-willy and let them do whatever they want. So you have guardrails as long as you're able to finish your assignments, as long as you're able to, and I'm not expecting the kids to come first in the class, right? There are enough and more studies which have shown that kids who are able to pursue a sport and study, they do much better in life. I'm not saying as compared to the ones who don't, but they're no less. So if we have the confidence on ourselves, on our upbringing, and we provide enough guardrails for them to be able to successful in sport, the studies follow. For us, so my twin boys, they are now in the All-American first academic category. I think that is a GPA 4. So, and they were in Reliance. Reliance Young Champs has one of the the grind they go through on a daily basis on the field itself, plus then go to the school and complete their assignments. I think it is huge. So as long as the guardrail is there, I think, I don't think that's much more you can do.
That's interesting.
I've got, can I just add to this very quickly? A good question, how to balance sports with academics. I believe that if you've seen the movie Coach Carter, so that's a wonderful approach, and I say it so assertively because I've seen this happening in school where I worked. So it was very clear. The school policy was that as I said, the students love playing sports. So that is far more important for the kids than academics. That's what happens in the US. So, but before a team would go out to play, represent the school, the list of their grades, current grades would come to the teachers 7 days before or something, and sent by the coach. Coach would know. And if anybody is falling below that line, well, the coach will not include him or her in the team, period.
All below their current performance.
Current performance. But there's another thing. Will not. It's done. The coach won't say anything. The student knows that he cannot make the cut. Fine. There's a line drawn. Now, it becomes a collective effort and responsibility, including the coach. Now see how it's shifting, including the coach. Coach wants him because the star player. If he or she is not there, team is not going to lose. So there is a motive involved. Coach will take it upon himself to make sure the child studies, earns extra credits, and catches up that line before. it expires. So again, it comes to a collective effort, but it has to be a part of the school policy, accepted by all the stakeholders, parents. Parents accept that too. So
Very interesting. So you're essentially saying the children are motivated to play if they're good enough in school.
they should be motivated enough.
study.
Yes, they would
study enough to get a chance to play.
absolutely,
Which is pretty much what you did. Which is what you did.
and vice versa. Because that's a dimension, that's a dimension of the school. So that's how it happens. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's a very important statement about, all of you are essentially assuming trust in the kids. That that I am taking a leap of faith, I trust you to do well, go play, but this is...
Yes, and there is good news also, since we have been banging on the heads of the parents, but let me tell you, there is good news also. Things are changing, and that also because of the wonderful parents that I have. I wish you were there living near my school and I had your kids, I would have taken you on my PA, right? So it makes me feel very happy, contented to meet and talk to such parents. Trust me, more than you, I'm happy to meet them.
Yeah.
Him also, sir. He has put his child in.
Yes, I'll meet you just after this, right?
Sir, Rajendra.
Right. So
Rajendra is
the
my
good news. I was visiting a school, and you just when you walk to the corridors and school, they put up values, core values.
Yeah.
We believe in this and that. So I saw a value that I had never seen before. It was written celebration. Now, it didn't make any sense to me. Well, we have values like cooperation and things like that. Celebration. So I got hold of somebody, a mid-level administrator. What does this mean? So he looked at me. It means celebration. Celebrating what? Everything. Everything what? Achievements of whom? Students. What kind? All kind. Only achievements? No, even the efforts are achievements. But how do you celebrate? We announce, we show it everywhere. We include it at every place. But why do you do so? To create and enhance the happiness quotient of the school, and to create a culture that no matter what you do, this way, that way, academy, we are going to celebrate it along with you. And that's a beautiful team culture the school has built up. And more so, the contribution has come from the parents.
Nice.
That's yeah.
No, wonderful. And then if I may come to you, it looks like there is a school psychology at work, there's a parent psychology at work, and of course kids psychology at work. So please help us with your views on this whole getting kids to play from your perspective.
Thanks, Somil, and thank you everyone. Thanks for inviting me here, and lovely perspectives here in terms of understanding the ecosystem, right? I just want every one of y'all, I know it's a panel discussion, but just close your eyes and think what exactly when you close your eyes, just think about what is success and what's failure in sports or in physical education. How many of y'all saw the first thing as a medal? Yeah? Many of y'all?
Many of them are not raising their hands also.
Or like a podium, or anything. Okay. So, see, sports, physical education, and everything, like the culture that we build around it. And it's not only in India, it's like everywhere. It is on success is equal to winning. Okay? And when a parent puts a child in a sport or any kind of physical activity, what is the first thing what you expect? Is certificate to aana hi chahiye. Isn't it? Okay. Is this how a culture is built? Possibly not. A sports culture, and I think I'll also borrow something from what Mridul spoke about, like the outcome in life is health. When I saw the statistics, I was scared. Like, that's a scary statistics. Like, when you have so many health disorders, sports, the medal may not matter. Okay? Development of culture, which is the ecosystem, directly impacts here and here.
I want to just interrogate you on that. This longer term goals are very good to say, but they're very difficult to, catch her.
No, but
you
there
want-
is what she's asking about the culture part. I'll explain with a simple example. I called my parents to come and play at school on sports day and other days, many other days. The mothers come with a sari and heels. So is that the culture? I mean, you don't understand when there's a wedding, they dress up in their finery. So you're dressed for the occasion. But when it comes to sports, they're not dressed for the occasion. So that means it was just time pass for them. They didn't take it seriously. So after that, the next event I did, I'm talking about a new school. I'm a founder principal of that school. We just started last year. I had to put that as a footnote in the circular, kindly wear sports shoes and sports clothes. So that culture where we allow women to wear sportswear very openly, very happily. They don't don the attire. I had a tough time in Aurangabad, in one school in the interior of Maharashtra. The students of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the girl students, the parents didn't want them to wear shorts. Didn't want them to wear cycling shorts. How can they play in a skirt? I mean, I'm not saying that you cannot, but what is the need for a girl who's not even a proper grown-up girl? What is the need? Why are you worried about? So I made the dress code as common, unisex. Let it be track pants and t-shirt for everyone. So the culture is built around small little things like that. We don't have to make a gender difference everywhere on a sports field and all. Thank you.
Back to you.
Okay, so culture is one bit which kind of comes around the athlete, right? And what it impacts is, like, say, for example, first question I want to ask parents and even PE teachers or anyone, like, if suppose
Parents डर के बैठे हुए हैं आप लोग, sir.
no, just think about this. So the first question you ask an athlete after they have won or lost. Okay, it's usually winning के बाद, अरे congratulations, that's the first thing. But हारने के बाद क्या होता है? अरे क्यों? Why did you lose? This is the first question.
What went wrong?
Yeah, क्या हुआ? आज कैसे हारे? Right? Now this is slowly impacting what? The identity or what they start relating sports to. Only winning and losing. And that's not sports. That's not a...
There's a question, I think. Can we take questions on this one? I don't know. Parent raise their hand.
Sure. Does somebody have a question? One second, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. So that's not what you want when you're building a culture, okay? And why is culture important for me as a psychologist is because it impacts the mindset, okay? And so let's come to the closer circle of the culture. The parents, in sports psychology, we have a theory called the parent, athlete, coach triad. Okay, the important 3 people in an athlete's life when they are starting to play a sport. And this is not even when they are competing. Okay, it's someone who teaches them sports, someone who teaches them general values, and them. Okay, now since we are in Pune, I want to ask everyone here, how many of you all visit Tekdis? Tekdis are hills in Pune. Okay?
Maide.
Yeah, Maide. Those who don't know. Okay. Okay, it's a part of Pune culture, but it's also a very good way to stay physically active. Okay, now I try and make sure I take my daughter to the Tekdi because me being from Mumbai, I value it even more. I'm like, अच्छा Mumbai में तो नहीं था, इधर तो है. Okay, these are small ways in which kids also pick up. Okay, my parent is going, even I need to go. This is a part of building sports. Or like a physical, mindset, and also as the kid looks at you as a parent, okay, my parent is doing this regularly, maybe this is a norm, I need to do it as well. Okay, because I know parents who say, अरे मैं रोज उसको लेके जाता हूँ to physical gym classes, but he's not interested now. What should I do? That's why I need your help. Okay, but when I ask them, what is your, do you include sports in your daily routine? Most of the times the answer is no, okay? So I take them to class, I drop and get them back, but I don't play sport. Now, when the parents start doing it themselves, there is a culture at home. So the culture starts at home. Then, of course, the school. And then, that whole ecosystem spiral goes all the way up to the government, because the first thing we blame is the government. है ना? अरे government
It's very easy to
easy.
blame everything on the government. But then I'm sure when we heard people like the invisible people of the behind the government, they are making policies. They are making policies, but it is for us to lap it up and do something about it. And talking about the government, my management is slightly part of the government, and I have requested them a lot of things. The first thing which they did last year when my students first stepped into the school, they observed every child and they realized, you know what, they were physically weak. So when they are physically weak, they cannot perform any kind of physical activity, unfortunately. And that is something I didn't think about. They did, and they told me, ma'am, let's start with a program of a health drink or a health food every day free of cost to all children. Okay, now this is something that is the cultural change. They are realizing how important it is to do good in academics also if you are physically fit, physically healthy. Good food, good nutrition. They invited Apurva Kumbhakoni. She is a physical trainer or a nutritionist for PT Usha. So we invited her for a parenting workshop to tell them what to feed their child. Junk food out, how to ensure that regional food and seasonal food, fruits, vegetables are important, and how it helps. Just like in when my child was, now my son has completed engineering, when he was in school there was a cartoon series he used to watch, Popeye the Sailor Man. The Popeye would eat a box of spinach and become strong. Okay, I used it up through that. That was what we had available in those days. But these are ways parents can ensure their children eat healthy. So eating healthy is the first step to build a culture, dressing up appropriately, and as I said, experiential learning. Let the parents play, come and play with the child and feel happy after playing, because they have missed out on their childhood. Let them come and play. Maybe they need that. Maybe then they need that platform to come and play. Give them that platform. Maybe the schools can do it better, because you have minimum four PTMs, open house, in a year. Use it as a sports day for parents. Let them play. Teachers, the worst comes when a lot of math, science, English, Hindi, Marathi teachers, they say, ma'am, can we take the PE period today to finish our syllabus? Okay, so those teachers also need to be groomed. As sir rightly mentioned, this is how the culture has to change. Sports is not an option, that's an importance.
Sure.
We have to bring that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are kind of tight on time. I'm going to request 30 seconds each. One thing that you want or you think we should do or should happen for more kids to play. One thing. Let's start with you, sir.
Can we have that? Bye.
Since we are on the government topic, the making the policies, as we want the kids to come on the ground and play. Unfortunately, the government has said that there should be no physical education teacher for up to standard 7. So if there is no physical education teacher, how the kids would come on the ground and play? So I think my request to Mr. Mudul would be to making a strong policy and to help support the government.
You are the answer to
that we should have physical education teachers in the schools, which and also it is compulsory physical education, as it's said in the education policy, that physical education is the fundamental right of the child. So every child should come on the ground and play.
So you
This
ask
has
for
to
a
be
PE teacher and the time for the child to come.
yes, absolutely. One period every day should be there allotted for at least for the child. Yeah.
Thank you. Pradeep?
I think after today's discussion, I think sports for girls, specific sports, and how do we get more girls involved in the sports?
Okay, Raja?
Okay, this is my spiel, okay? 15 seconds. So one is parents need to let the kids play, let them pursue what they want to do, not stop by telling them, it's time to focus on academics. There are 5,000 plus colleges in US spending $5 billion on sports scholarship. There is an option and I'm there. Thank you.
Hello? Okay, I got it. A personal message to the parents.
Sir, आप तो नाराज हैं हमसे.
No. I have to pat them up, right? So my father wanted me to be an engineer. I agreed. Okay, fine. So he used to keep me asking every 6 months, "Are you ready?" Okay. till I came to 10th. And then he asked finally, it was my birthday, so you are ready to be an engineer? I said no. So what do you want to be? I don't know. But I'm telling you, that might be your thing, but I don't know. So you want to do what you want? Yes. But you don't know what is. Then later on, I thought, my father was always pushing me for an arranged marriage. Whereas I wanted to have a love marriage. I went for my passion, my love, that's literature and language. I think I'm doing pretty good today.
Well done, sir. One
That was very interesting. Okay. So if you're asking for one, give me a concession. I'll make two.
Sure.
One is giving credit points, just like academics, credit points for sports, and to be mentioned mandatorily in the holistic progress card. See, I don't know where it came from that the government has not made it is mandatory. Sports is mandatory every
maybe
day.
the actual implementation policy level pe hai, but
Policy wise there, implementation is in our hands, how we do it. So we can definitely do it, whether it's parents or teachers or schools or management or principals. And we need one very important thing which I've noted down during today's discussion was when it comes to girls playing sports, they may fall down, they may hurt themselves, break bones and stuff like that. They may not get married or blah blah blah, all those kind of nonsense around that sphere. We need to have sports insurance for athletes, because I've seen a lot of cases when athletes, after they become a winner, or even if they're not a winner, they have no other option left. When they grow up and by the time of 20, 21, 23, whatever, what if they fail in sports at the highest level? Say the case of Vignesh, or what, is there any insurance? How do we do it? I have heard about.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because I have understood. I was recently going through a biography of a Kerala girl athlete of Olympics. She was forced to undergo, not forced, maybe it's mandatory, sex determination test, and she was branded as not a woman. Yeah. So what happens? She is picking up bricks in a small village and the media identifies her. So there's no insurance. What if you fail, you go up to that level and you don't win a medal? What happens next? There is no fallback policy. Thank you.
Just going to answer that one question, how to get kids to play. I think, of course, you go play with, your kids. That's the first thing. And I'm going to differ on the report card bit, but make sports or physical activity, like I said, just walking to the hill, as a part of a process. It's not an outcome. I don't want, the parents to say, "Arey, wo aage ja raha, tu aage bad." This happens. I am a parent. I know. Go quickly. She's reaching before you. That's not a competition. You just need it to be a part of your lifestyle. So make sports a part of your lifestyle, and that's what I guess we are somewhere not, up there. Thank you.
Wonderful. Enjoy the journey message. Please, thank you. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you. And happy birthday, Sports Village, once again.
Can you do the honors? Give them all.
Yeah, actually. All principals are first teachers. Yeah, they are. You understand? That qualification. Yeah, mandatory qualification. Only CBSE does that. Mandatory qualification. Also, come forward. Yeah, come forward. Yeah, forward. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy it. Thank you. Thank you. I hope it transfers.
Thank you, panelists. I think very gripping. So I'm just going to invite the next session, Nishant, to take us through the the award segment. Nishant, please, if you could.
Thank you, Parminder. So after having listened to all the stakeholders in this endeavor of getting kids to play, which is right from parents to school leaders to corporates to brands, etc., I think now it's finally time to recognize the single most important stakeholder, which are the kids themselves. So as part of Get Kids to Play Summit across India, we plan to recognize few students of our partner schools across cities who have excelled in sports, but the most important thing is who have also balanced their academics throughout their pursuit of excellence in sports. So I'll start with the school's name. First up is Euro School Wakad, ICSE campus. Param Tanna, Preksha Biradar, Siddhant Chakrabarti, Arya Bhatt, Pratham Varang, Yadnya Sapkal, Dhruv Mahavar, Nishka Parashar, Rishit Jaju, Vaidehi Gangurde, Soham Biradar, Madhura Zende, Kanish Kumar, and Raina Jimmy. I request Shubhra ma'am and Jashveer sir to kindly please come up on the stage to facilitate the students. I request Saumil and Parminder to kindly escort them, please. Thank you. I request Mr. Jocelyn, who is the coordinator for Euroschool Wakad, to kindly join us on stage. I request Prahlad to escort the trainers of this particular school to come up on stage. They are the people behind their success in sports.
Chinmay. Chinmay. Chinmay.
Our next school is Billabong High International School, Amanora. I request the guests to kindly stay back. We need to felicitate a lot more students. So, Shayan Kashani, Diva Lalotra, Riyansh Patni, Akira Choksi, Viransh Duhan, Suneri Bhatt, Tanmay Ganji, Ishan Pandey, Shravya Patil, Kruthat Doke, Aina Philip, Aryaman Dash, Shanvi Gupta, Gurbani Kaur, Ridan Chabra, Arika Ganji. I request the trainers of Billabong High School as well. We have Gulnar, who is the trainer of the school.
Okay. So let's do Chinmay. Chinmay. Set. Yeah, already. Chinmay. Again.
Thank you, Billabong High International School. So the final school we have is Euro School Undri. We have Nirvan Kapre, Adhya Mishra, Vedan Desai, and Aradhya Ranjan. So we have Euro School Karate nominations as well, but unfortunately to their culmination event they couldn't make it. I invite Sachin to collect the award on their behalf, on behalf of Euro School Karate, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Shubhra and Jashveer sir. Last but not the least, I think we should have a round of applause for their parents as well, for supporting the sports and equally giving importance to the academics as well. So thank you, parents. Now I hand over to Parminder for the closing address. Thank you.
Yeah, not much of an address, but just very, very exciting session since morning, and thank you for being here. I think let me just some takeaways from me, and we will have a broader summary of the key elements that came out of this charcha that we spoke of in the morning. So one clearly was the inverse pyramid. Earlier discussions we spoke of that, how that's a most important piece which needs to be addressed, and then choosing the right capital and resources. How do we, the lens of policy making and governance, and we spoke of that. Public goods also was spoken of, and lastly the school systems. I think we had such a riveting session around that, on the execution gaps that we have there, parent role of school administrators, teachers, policies, everything centers around that piece. And I think if there's one, then if that piece is fixed, hopefully the bottom of the pyramid also gets fixed automatically. And the resource constraint is a real issue, and I think we're not running away from that. And how do we get more resources moving towards what we think is important for us remains. And that perhaps is an issue of, when I say what next, that may be a element to attempt to do. So I think at this point, just would like to thank all the panelists, all the attendees, our Sports Village team to have come up with such a show, and parents, school leaders, administrators who are here on a weekend. Big thanks to you, I think, to making it all possible. Wonderful attempt from our side as well, in terms of the first version of our series of summits. And we are going to be back next year in the same city again with perhaps, after having attempted some of these elements which have come out of this conversation or charcha, and pick up the next vantage point with more what next. And hopefully with that the ball keeps rolling, and we keep going, and the inverted pyramid then hopefully becomes a rectangle and not pyramid anymore, with equal attention on all sides. So thank you once again, and lunch is waiting for us, so I won't take much time, and keep playing. Thank you so much.